In today's show, we wrap up the Blazers' stay in Vegas for NBA Summer League, and we talk Donovan Clingan, the new block king of Sin City. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday. So make it a part of your daily routine, Monday through Friday, and tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, let's talk Blazers Summer League. Portland wrapped up its slate in Vegas on Sunday evening, beating the Rockets in a consolation game. Their fifth game in Vegas. Everybody plays five. Blazers played their fifth one on Sunday. They finished 3-2 in Vegas. The wins don't matter. The box scores don't matter. Nothing matters. It's some stuff matters, but it is a largely meaningless but deeply dissected week in the desert. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to dissect it a little bit. I want to talk Donovan Clingan, the new block king. There's a new block king in Vegas, and this one could stick around for a while. The last record stood for 12 months. Could Donovan Clingan hold on to it for longer? Talk Clingan, his ceiling, his floor, and kind of what we saw from the Blazers' 7th overall pick in Vegas. I want to talk Ryan Rupert and Chris Murray, the two other roster guys that were there. And then some odds and ends. The Blazers are this thing's full. They are officially a full 15-man roster. What do they do? What do they do from here? We'll talk about that to close the show. Let's start with Clingan, though. I think on Friday evening, the Blazers played against the Charlotte Hornets and lost, and their offense was really bad. But I think Clingan played, collectively their offense was really bad. I think Clingan played his best game of Summer League. I thought his first game was his worst game of Summer League, and I thought Game 4 was his best game of Summer League. Hard to ask for more than that from a young player. Like, hard to ask for more than that from a rookie. Is that he looked as bad as he looked as bad as he's going to look all week in Game 1, and then he progressively got better. And by the time his week is over with in Game 4, he's playing his best basketball. He gets the heck up out of there. They don't play him on Friday because there's no need to play, on Sunday because there's no need for a consolation game. We got 4 games of Clingan. I thought he grew consistently over the week, and that's really good. I mentioned the box scores don't matter, and I don't think they do. I really don't. I do not think looking at box scores in Vegas is a good way to say, like, he played well. Sometimes the box score will match up with what you saw, and I think in Clingan's case, the box score does match up with what you saw. But I think in general, just box score scouting is not going to help. In Vegas particularly, box score scouting is a nightmare. It's not going to be the way you learn who's good or not good. I guess sometimes guys go like 1 of 12 and you're like, whoa. But I even think Alex Sarr, who had the 0-15 game against the Blazers, I think he's looked good on defense in Vegas. It's just like, how is that young man going to score? But Clingan's box score is undeniable. He's the new block leader in Vegas, set the all-time Summer League record with 4.3 blocks per game, breaking Victor Wembanyama's record from last year. Wemby, an absolute monster. Clingan, an absolute monster on defense. 4.3 blocks per game, playing about 25 minutes a night in these Summer League games. To give you a sense of this, the next highest blocks leader in Vegas this week, 2.6. No one even broke 2.7. No one broke 3. Clingan blocked 4.3 a game. I don't want to get too caught up in the numbers necessarily, but I think he showed what a good defender he is capable of being. And I think that Charlotte game is a perfect example. Early in that game, he blocked 4 shots in the first quarter. He's everywhere, right? He's everywhere. And he did it on ball. Charlotte had a big man who just wasn't strong enough to get to, or bouncy enough to get around Clingan. Clingan threw that. But Clingan helped on drives. He had a drop off where he stepped up where the guard was driving, knew his man was behind him, rotated over, bam, blocked that at the rim. So he's like getting the in-betweens as a strong side, and then protecting the drop off. He came over and helped defense. He blocked it on the ball, off the ball, every way you can get it. He blocked shots. I think this was his best game. And on offense, he showed a little bit of what he can do. And I know he made 2 3-pointers in this game, and I don't I'll talk about that in a moment. But I thought, early in this game, I think the first minute of the game, he takes a three kind of from the right wing, and it's like, okay, fine. Fine, shoot him. But he chases down a rebound, and he catches one in the... he doesn't get the rebound, but he chases down the rebound. It ends up he kind of rips the ball away, gets a turnover, or forces a turnover with physicality and pursuit, and then just gets a little guy on him, drop step, easy layup. And it's like, we haven't seen him drop step, easy layup at all. He had a couple plays where he had defensive plays, a steal and a block, where he gets a deflection and then just runs end to end. And because he's running end to end, when the ball changes hands, when a turnover happens, he gets easy buckets out of it. One a dunk, another like a nice dunk with a runway, one where he gets a drive and just keeps pursuing and ends up dunking cleanly because he runs hard and the guard attacks. Like, I think this was his most comprehensive game. Even with that, it's like, I threw it into a post a couple times for him and he turned the ball over. His offense is still not quite there yet, but the defense is real. Like, he speaking of ceiling and floor, it's like his floor is pretty high because he's going to be a pretty good defender because he knows exactly what he is. 7'2", 280 with long arms. It's like a 9.5 inch, 9'6", 9'7" standing reach, right? Like, and he knows it, and he's going to play every night and play big, and you don't have to worry about him playing big. On defense, he plays as large as he is. He understands how large he is. He has a really good sense to be a position defender because he doesn't get himself out of position. He plays the deep drop coverage and lives in the paint, and he says, if you're going to score, it's going to be hard to get around me. Now, against NBA athletes, it'll be a different challenge for him than it was in Summer League, but his floor, I think he's just going to end up being a pretty functional defender. I felt this about him heading into the Summer League, and I think he even outperformed my expectations in Summer League on this end. Like, his floor, is he going to be a pretty functional defender? I've been saying since, and sort of when I started doing my amateur scouting of Clingan, that I'm pretty comfortable with him being a good NBA defender, and boy, am I comfortable with him being an NBA defender now. I think he's just going to be good on that end, and that puts his floor pretty high because centers in the modern NBA, they do not need to be high level offensive players to be impactful. You rebound, you block shots. And I thought after having a rocky rebounding game in game one, despite the box score numbers, rocky rebounding game in game one, much better physicality, much better blockouts, much just like better understanding of like winning the defensive glass matters. I thought Clingan was way better on that. Because he looks like he's going to be at least a decent rebounder, maybe an average rebounder, and an elite defender. And obviously, if you're an average rebounder, you can get better. But an elite rim protector because he understands what he can do and what he should do and what he is there to do. His floor is pretty high. The ceiling is the other end. The ceiling is what he becomes on offense. Can he be a little bit better in the post and find some... He's not going to get a bunch of direct post ups, so I'm not really worried about that. But he is going to have, like, sometimes... If you can't score in the post, they'll switch against you. Young Rudy Gobert, you know what they did? The Blazers guarded him with freaking Darrell Wright. And other teams did it too. And eventually, the move was to go small against Rudy Gobert and, like, spread him out on defense. But before that, it was to go small and like, say... Throw it into the post, like in the Gordon Hayward days. Like, throw it into the post, see what 2-7 does. And you worry about that with Clingan because if he can't punish little guys on switches just with decent footwork and decent touch, you can run lineups out there where he's less scary, right? He's less scary. If he doesn't beat you on defense, you have a chance to just like, it's not even just like play with more shooters, play smaller because you don't need the size, right? But if that's going to matter, right? He doesn't need to be able to post up like Jonas Valanciunas, like a really big, strong center. He just needs to be able to mash switches a little bit. And I think that'll be a step for him. Better touch around the rim, comfort with his hook shots. That's a skill stuff that you can work on and get better at. I don't know what he'll be like in year one, but that's like in the future. I think he can get better at that. Then it's the shooting. Everyone wants him to shoot threes. I don't care about that. I think about when Yusuf Nurkic finally started shooting threes. They never broke the defense. No one ever cared. Almost every single three-pointer Yusuf Nurkic took in a Blazers jersey was a dare shot, which meant that the offense came down and Nurk got a look from three and the defense said, "We dare ya." Even when Nurk was shooting well, above league average from three, never enough volume and never enough speed on the release to really scare defenses. No one ever guarded him like a shooter. And I worry that's what Clingan becomes. He's someone who shoots 3-pointers, even if he shoots them okay, right? Like, you're just taking dare shots. And if you don't have, if no one cares about you shooting threes, the level that you have to make them to care is really high. Like Draymond Green shot incredibly well this year from three, like above league average, not incredibly well, but above league average from three. And he was above 40 for some of the season. But he doesn't look at the rim very much, so no one cares about it. No one really cares. Like, no one treats him like a shooter. Clingan will look at the rim more than Draymond. He's not allergic to it like Dre is, but I worry that the three is a crutch because he is having trouble finding how to score inside, and he wants to be involved on offense, so he's taking 3-pointers. He made 2 threes against Charlotte. The one in the first half was like, he gets it at the top of the key, no one closes out, he kind of looks for a pass, there's no pass, I'm wide open, I'm going to shoot it, shoots it, hits it, okay, good shot, sure. I didn't love that one. I didn't love that. Now that's kind of the dare shot I'm talking about. That's fine. I'm not going to boo when he shoots threes. Although I did hear someone in the stands pretty loudly yell, "Stop shooting threes." In the fourth quarter, Clingan had one in transition where the Blazers push, they go wide, and NBA offense or NBA fast breaks now in transition. The guys run to the corners, so often the ball end up in the corners on. If you don't get to the rim, the ball ends up in the corners on, and then swings back out in transition plays. And Clingan caught it at the top of the key, got to like catch with his shoulders square in rhythm, kind of He drops the ball pretty low on his catches. So it's like big dip, comes up, shoots it, hits it. I like that. A much cleaner catch and shoot with your shoulders already square and facing in semi-transition. A trail three like that from Clingan, I'm much more into than the like, no one's guarding you, you have the ball at the top of the key, I guess I'll just shoot it because what else am I going to do type of threes. But his ceiling is going to depend on his offense. How he can punish little guys. Can he be a really good offensive rebounder? Because if he becomes an elite offensive rebounder because he's so big, you can just steal possessions that way. I don't know that he'll ever have individual offense. I'm pretty comfortable with him improving with the Blazers' better guard play in the NBA as opposed to in the Summer League. But I will note that the Blazers were one of the worst offensive teams in the league last year. So it's not like they have this like elite pick and roll attack that he's going to be dropped into. I think if Anthony Simon's on the roster, I think he'll play better next to Ants. I think Scoot has budding playmaking chops and could make it easier for them, although guarding a pick and roll with 2 non-shooters might not make it easy for him, but maybe they can get some fast dribble handoff stuff and get into it. I'm comfortable with Clingan's floor being a solid defender for a long time, like a long-term pro as a solid defender, and I think his ceiling after this week in Vegas remains a question mark, but a really, really intriguing one. I thought this was a really good week for Donovan Clingan, a really good week. Everything that you wanted to see him do well, he did very, very well. And the things that he doesn't do well, he kind of just didn't do them well. But that's, have your strengths be strong. He was strong in his strengths in this one, undeniably. A really good week for Clingan, and Vegas is block king, the block king of Vegas. Let's go. Let's talk Roops. Let's talk Murray in the second segment. It's Ryan Rupert and Chris Murray, 2 other Blazers roster guys. I don't think they had as good a week as Donovan Clingan. Join me in that second segment, won't you? First, though, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and an official sports betting partner of the Major League Baseball. We're back from the All-Star break. We're playing baseball games. The Rockies won 2 of 3 against the Giants. Anything is possible. Maybe not the Rockies winning more games, but anything is possible. Plus, even if you want to be a hater and bet against my beloved Rockies, FanDuel's got action for you all summer long. Plus the Summer Olympics are coming up. Plus, we're going to get a break in some other North American sports. But the Summer Olympics and baseball rolling along, and this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers. That's new customers, returning customers, anybody with a booster or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. That's FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right. Let's talk Roops and let's talk Murray. I thought this was a really good week for Donovan Clingan. I thought this was not a very good week for Chris Murray. It was a bad one. I came out of Chris Murray's rookie season saying, Duke can defend. He can defend a bunch of different positions. He wants to defend. He's physical on that end. He plays hard. There really aren't that many question marks about what you're going to get from him on defense. He's not an all NBA guy. I'm not trying to put or all defense guy. I'm not trying to put him in that category, but he's like, for a player in his rookie season, he was a competitive and versatile defender. That's a pretty good place to be after year one. But the other side of that coin was that he was a real negative on offense. And I've said it many times in this show. He just doesn't have a way to score in the NBA. Can't shoot, doesn't have the athleticism to drive, doesn't have the handle to get himself loose. He's a pretty smart passer, but he doesn't have the ability to create advantages with his playmaking because he's not beating guys with quick moves to break down defenses and then be able to make plays. Like, he's probably, when he is like, if he becomes a fully realized version of himself in the NBA, he is a very good defender who can shoot a little bit standing still. But the big question mark was his offense heading into Summer League, and the big question mark leaving Summer League is like, what does he do on offense? It's the same thing. He didn't shoot well in Vegas, and no box score numbers on this. He didn't shoot well. And some of the misses are such that it's like, he's hitting the backboard first on wide open threes. Like it's a mental part. It is very clear watching Chris Murray to me that the missing has weighed on him a little bit, where he's thinking about shooting. He is thinking about shooting the ball. Every time he gets it, he is thinking about shooting it. And it's really hard to make shots at full speed in a professional basketball game in North America where you're thinking about it, where you're saying, oh, okay, feet, fingers, grip, elbow, follow through. All right, get a lift, find the back of the rim, get your hand up, make sure you wow. Like, it's just too many things. It's too many things because you're thinking, oh, my feet. Someone comes at you. Oh, my hands. Oh, my form. Like, all the way up. Like, it's just, you can watch Chris Murray going through. He's thinking out there. He's just thinking every shot. He is thinking about shots he has missed in the past. It was not a good week for him on offense. That said, 5 games in Vegas, like, I don't think my opinion of Chris Murray has changed from the end of last season. Would it have been nice to see him take like a massive step forward? Absolutely. But I would say for me personally, at the end of last season, I was like, he doesn't do anything on offense. And if he's going to play in the league, he has to figure out something he can do. And I still feel that now. If he adds some shooting, and it would be nice to see him just make jump shots in Vegas. I don't know about the rest of he doesn't have a lot of athletic burst, right? He's not an above the rim guy. So it's like shooting is going to be the thing that bails him out with his sort of athletic profile. And he has a twin brother who can really shoot. Nah, that doesn't help. But there's like Taylor Griffins out there. I guess him and Blake aren't twins. There's Robin Lopez's out there. Believe it or not, there are Robin Lopez's. Like, how could Robin Lopez not learn to shoot threes? When this is just like as a side real quick, whenever someone's like, well, what if this random center becomes a late career Brook Lopez? Like, yeah, Brook Lopez is like the Nets franchise all-time leading scorer. Dude was a bucket way before he shot three-pointers, also was a great free throw shooter, and also Robin Lopez exists. Anyways, there are Robin Lopez's in the world. There's just like your twin brother who plays different than you. Murray can probably... the Blazers will have a decision to make on his year 3 option before, like, at the end of October, before the season starts. I don't think he's in danger necessarily of them declining that and saying like 2 years is enough for me, because you don't make that pick in the first round and then bail like this. But he's not going to be part of the rotation early this season, and he didn't do anything in Summer League to change your opinion on that. You're playing other guys over him. Like Justin Minaya was better than Chris Murray in Summer League. It is what it is. He didn't have a good week. He's got some defensive chops, and I think in a simpler role, maybe he can figure it out a little bit more in the NBA, when it's just like, hey, you're only going to be asked to do 2 things: defend, shoot when you're open. Maybe it gets easier for him, and guys can improve on that end. Like, they can improve shooting the ball, but we haven't seen it yet. So when Murray does it, it'll be the first time we see it. Ryan Rupert, it's just a little different with him because he was a second-round pick, not a first-round pick. He also came into the league incredibly raw. He wasn't like a 3-year college dude who had like a really nice, junior season or third year in college, like Chris Murray did, right? He wasn't like productive at the collegiate level to the point where you're like, yeah, he should get there. Chris Murray's about to turn 24. Ryan Rupert's not yet 21. It's like, it's just different. And it's a different grading scale because of the age, because of where they were drafted, all of those things. Rupert shows some flashes, particularly on defense, where it's like he cuts off a ball handler, then they switch a pick, like into a dribble handoff, and then they switch that dribble handoff, and he cuts off that ball handler. He almost deflects a pass back. He helps down into the post as they throw it into the post. Just everywhere, right? Like guards 3 different guys with 2 steps in between each one because of his length and his willingness to sort of defend. Like he shows these flashes, particularly on defense, where it's like, oh, okay. That dude can guard. Like he can block shots. He gets in the passing lanes. He hounds ball handlers. And then there's moments where he just, he kind of overcommits on defense, gets himself out of position, or he plays like a young player, just inconsistent on that end. But I think you see the flashes on defense a bunch for him. On offense, in the half court, it can get a little shaky. He's not a great finisher yet. He doesn't have a bunch of off the dribble moves. He's improved a bunch as a ball handler, I would say. He's improved a bunch as a ball handler. He was really, really not ready this time last year, and he's definitely made strides there. Shot it better in the NBA than he did in Summer League. So maybe, again, this is like smaller role, simpler ask. You can be better. I think this is like the hope with Murray is like simpler role, simpler ask. You're not going to have to play a bunch. And Murray played better on Sunday, for sure, against Houston. Made 3 threes. Like he definitely played better. This is like just a different game. The like consolation game in Vegas. Just like you're not playing against the top flight guys. It was still competitive, a little ragged, but still competitive. So I don't mean to dismiss it like guys aren't playing hard. It's just like a different caliber of game. And before Sunday, Chris hadn't shot well, and I thought it's good to see the ball finally go in for him. Roops, he has again flashes, but then he has flashes where it's like he kind of disappears and the offense isn't quite there for him. I'm less like, for Rupert, it's less like, hey, what's he going to show? Like, there's less urgency, right? Because he's not a 24-year-old first-round pick, all these things, right? It's just, with Murray, it's like, there is a little bit of urgency due to his age and his contract situation. With Rupert, it's like, yeah, they took a flyer on this kid, and he has some moments, and if he strings those moments together, you feel more comfortable about him. Hopefully the Blazers can get him in the G League and get him like a bunch of minutes to dominate that level of competition. And then when they need him because of injuries, trades, or what have you, Rupert can like make a play. But I don't think Murray, can play and make some things happen. I don't think Murray or Rupert are in the rotation. I think they're out of the rotation on night 1, and I don't think they did anything in Summer League to sort of change your opinion about that. That was probably the way it was going to shake out heading into Vegas, right? Is that they were on the outside, just like based on the roster, and then they didn't do anything to change that calculation. Okay, I got some other stray thoughts, plus the Blazers roster is full. Now, let's talk about that to close the show. Join me in that third segment, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. There's 3 words you got to know: passion, drive, and patience. It's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Whether that's superchargers or roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed or power or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, baby, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. Some odds and ends to close up Summer League here. The Blazers roster, full, because on Saturday, July 20th, the contracts of Jabari Walker and Toumani Camara became fully guaranteed for the season, according to the numbers from Keith Smith of SpotTrack.com, a former guest on the program, friend of the show, Keith Smith. Thank you, Keith. So with that, this thing is a full boat. The Blazers have 15 or really 14 fully guaranteed contracts, plus the partially guaranteed contract of Delano Banton. Delano Banton's it's only $200,000 guaranteed. Like, he could still, if they make moves, he's the guy you waive because it's only $200K. It's like such a small number. It doesn't, you could waive him at $200K. If he's on the roster on opening night, 50% of his salary is guaranteed. Gets it up to about $1.5 million. About $1 million roughly. but like half guaranteed, and then he could be waived in January without owing him any money after that. And January 10th is the full guarantee date for everyone who has partially or non-guaranteed contracts in the NBA. But other than Banton and his light guarantee and the opening night half guarantee, like this thing is full. This is a full boat. This is everybody. This is 15 players on a roster. They have one two-way spot to fill. That's it. The roster's full. If they're making moves, which they may or may not, but tomorrow's show we'll talk about kind of why we haven't seen any moves in the NBA really during Summer League when it was maybe supposed to, the wheels were supposed to get greased. That'll be a topic for tomorrow's show. But other than that, like this is it for the Blazers. I think Damani Kamara is probably your first forward off the bench. If assuming Matisse Thybulle's on the roster, I think he's playing there too. The starting lineup is some combination of these six guys: Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Deni Avdija, Jeremy Grant, and DeAndre Ayton. Obviously, the forward spots are there: Deni and JG. DeAndre Ayton is your center. Your guards are probably, if I had to guess today, I would guess they start Scoot and Anthony Simons. But I think it would probably make more sense functionally to start Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe, but organizationally, what are they going to do? Everyone is screaming for Anthony Simons to come off the bench. It's not realistic with this particular roster. I think it could be realistic on other rosters, but I don't think you can say Anthony Simons play a little bit less and play behind these two dudes you're better than. It's just not going to work on this particular roster. That thing's full. So then, off the bench, Matisse Thybulle, Damani Kamara, whatever young guard doesn't start, either Scoot or Shaedon Sharpe, Clingan and Rob Williams. That gets you to 10. Jabari Walker's on the outside, but I think he's close. Like he's on the fringe. Delano Banton's not going to play on. He's not going to be part of the regular rotation, which I think is fine. That's a good spot for him. Chris Murray and Ryan Rupert are not going to play. Duop Reed's not going to play. That's my prediction as of you're listening to Monday, July 22nd show. Obviously things change, but I think this thing is full, and I don't think Summer League changed anything. Clingan has to play on night one. You drafted him 7th overall, and he looked like that in Summer League. He's like, I do this functional thing that your team needs, defend the rim. He has to play. How much he plays, I think will be interesting, particularly with the health of Rob Williams. We'll see what his availability looks like when we get into camp there in October, but like, yeah, I think while the Blazers roster is fully healthy, and no team is fully healthy all year long, they've got they're a little full in some spots, right? They're a little full at center, and they're a little full at like forwards who can't quite shoot, and they're a little full at like, not full. They're not full at guard. They're actually probably a little light at guard. They probably use one more guard on the roster just for insurance purposes. But like the Scoot Anthony Simons is like not a good pairing, so it's like hard to mix and match, right? But that's the group. Oh, finally here, I want to mention this. I still don't get why Scoot Henderson didn't play a couple games in Summer League. I have not read nor seen an explanation that makes any sense to me. I've seen some people say, mostly fans, honestly. I might have missed this, but it's like it was a team decision. I know that Bill Oram wrote a freaking limerick about Scoot Henderson not playing and saying it was unclear. But like, I don't get it. I don't think it's like a crime. I don't think it's going to be in any way detrimental to Scoot's development. I don't think that it really matters in the grand scheme, but it's weird. It's weird. I don't know why they wouldn't want him to play. I think about it in reverse. When Shaedon Sharpe played last year as a year two, he had a really good close to the season, and a player entering after year one, entering year two, finishing up his rookie campaign, heading into sophomore campaign. No one thought it was weird that Shaedon Sharpe played. They were hoping he would graduate out of it just the same way you would have hoped that Scoot Henderson would have graduated out of it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. I don't get it. There's no, again, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's like a big deal, but I do think it's bizarre, and I would like to just flag it as this is a bizarre choice. And I don't know. I watched Brandon Podziemski play and Jaime Jaquez and Gigi Jackson, and I thought, like, what the hell is Scoot Henderson not doing out there? Like, what are the Blazers protecting him from? What are they protecting him from? Can't be injuries. If you play basketball, you're going to get injured. If you're worried about dudes getting injured, you are in the wrong business. So, like, what are they protecting him from? It's bizarre. That was probably my least favorite part of Summer League, was the fact that Scoot Henderson didn't participate in one game 24 minutes of Scoot Henderson. Would that have mattered for his development? Hell no. Would that have mattered for his chemistry with Donovan Clingan? Hell no. Sorry for swearing at the end of the podcast. But it would have been just a more normal way to go about things. It would have been a more normal way to go about things. So it strikes me as a little bit odd. Okay, that's going to do it for today's show. I got a rant in. We got a final 120 seconds of the program rant. Who knew? I guess that's just how it goes on Sunday evening. This is Monday's show, July 22nd. We'll do 5 of these this week. On Tuesday, we'll talk kind of why there hasn't been a lot of movement in the NBA. We're still in the waiting game. We weren't supposed to be here. What are we waiting on? And what does it mean for the Blazers, who are perhaps a team that is waiting for dominoes? That's what we'll talk about. And a couple other things in tomorrow's program. It's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.